Toby saw Gus Blue for the first time since the plane heading to Bencow Falls. Toby laid still in the car for 10 seconds, contemplating in his head. A lot of things had happened for Toby, and he could barely take it anymore. The reintroduction of Gus Blue became yet another problem for Toby to handle. Listen to me, Gus. There has been too much going on in my life right now. I will drop you home, then you will never have to see my face ever again, said Toby. What about the Novus Ordo Seclorum? We could destroy them once and for all. I have friends that are loyal to me. They could help, replied Gus. I was with a group of people called the Patriots Council. We thought that with the help of the police force, we could arrest and kill some of the members. We tried to kill that narcissistic freak of a man, Harry Roots. But they were ready for us. The Novus Ordo Seclorum defeated us. They are a federal problem. I don't know how a 15-year-old like you would be able to destroy them. They cannot be stopped, said Toby. Gus sat silently, holding his rage at Toby's remark of Harry. Gus was now only loyal to the Novus Ordo Seclorum. But now, Gus was forced to work with his newfound enemy. The two remained silent in the car until Toby got to a couple of blocks away from his home. Toby got out, and Gus followed suit. Do you want to get shredded, Gus? Well, if you help me push this car off of the road into that ditch, that way we don't get caught, said Toby. Gus was boiling inside. He could not wait for the inevitable downfall of the scientist. I understand, Toby. But please do not send me home. My brother has not been happy about my criminal actions. I need a place to stay while all of this blows over. Please. Toby, I know that you are a good person. Just let me stay for a week, then you will never have to see me again, said Gus in what seemed to be a sincere tone. Why were you even arrested in the first place? Asked Toby. Because I beat up a stupid prick that goes by the name of Johnny Wilson. He called the cops on me. I kept wailing on that asshole. Every last punch was the justice that he deserved. That kid should be on death row. But the cops saw a vulnerable kid who was getting beat up. Of course they believed him instead of me. And that was why I got put into that car, lied Gus. I believe you. You just seemed so sincere about it. I have never met any liar that could make me feel bad. I can talk to Barrington about this. He could pardon you of all wrongdoing. I'll let you stay until Friday. I do want to talk to somebody about trying to defeat the Novus Ordo Seclorum, replied Toby, walking to the intersection at Dixon Street and Newman Avenue. Toby tossed his keys to Gus. Gus read the apartment number and opened the door into Toby's home. It was modern and spacious. Gus sat down on the leather couch and took a nap. Toby Winters sat alone on the same park bench. He waited for a long time in the scorching hot sun. There, he saw a familiar figure. Bloodshot stood on the opposite side of the intersection. He jaywalked through the intersection to where Toby was sitting. What is this about? Asked Bloodshot. You are the only reason that the assault of the Donna wasn't a complete failure. You are quite possibly the greatest shot in the world, replied Toby. Get in my house, it is nice and cool in there. I might be smart, but you have more talent with a gun. My dad was the best shot. He had more guns than you could ever imagine. I have tried looking for his weapons for the past 5 years of my life. I hate the Novus Ordo Seclorum. You know who also hates them? The anarchists. I can get him to work with you, replied Bloodshot. Fuck no. The anarchists killed Gus's parents. I would have to betray Gus to work with them. I can get the government," said Toby. "I don't like working with the government. They're all corrupt, fat, and greedy. Assholes who only care about power," said Bloodshot. "What if we make a compromise? The government working with the anarchists. The Novus Ordo Seclorum took something away from me. I broke my own TV when I saw Harry on the screen. Please work with me," exclaimed Toby. He then sat still for a couple seconds and talked. "I'm sorry, Bloodshot. I just want to see their power come crumbling down. I do too, Toby. I know that Mr. Walter killed my father. I also now know that Mr. Walter was associated with the Novus Ordo Seclorum. They killed my father. Those pricks deserve to be incinerated for eternity for their actions," said Bloodshot. "Come inside. I need to talk to Gus about all of this. We need to let him know about the plan," replied Toby, walking to his apartment. Bloodshot reluctantly followed. "Why should we? He is 15 years old," said Bloodshot. "How old were you when Mr. Walter killed your father? Gus could prove to be of use to us. He has money. I don't know how much, but he said it was in the millions," replied Toby. The two remained quiet until Toby grabbed out his spare key and opened the door to apartment 49 on the 4th floor. Toby opened the door and saw a passed-out Gus Blue on the couch. "Gus, I want to talk to you about something," said Toby. Gus, who was fast asleep, didn't hear him. Toby then talked louder. "I apologize, but I am trying to wake you up. I want to talk," said Toby. Gus was still asleep. Toby held his anger in and started talking louder. But then, Bloodshot repeatedly tapped Gus on the shoulder, which got him to wake up. "What do you want?" Toby asked a groggy Gus. "Well, I want to talk about how we are going to potentially defeat the Novus Ordo Seclorum. I might have a potential deal with Bloodshot here," said Toby. "So, what is the deal?" asked Gus. "I am going to get government support with the help of George Barrington and what is left of the Patriots Council," said Toby. "Anything else?" asked Gus. "I think Bloodshot could talk about the other part of the deal," replied Toby. "My dad was the single best assassin in the world. He had guns. Loads and loads of them. Some of them were even military grade. He absolutely adored the Second Amendment. The problem is that I don't know where he kept them. So instead, I might be able to unite some of the anarchist factions. It seems like a stretch to get him to work with the government, but they are against the same common threat," said Bloodshot. "The enemy of my enemy is my friend," replied Toby. "It's like the Americans and the Soviets setting differences aside and working together to destroy the Nazis. Well, the anarchists killed my parents and burned my house to the ground. My life will never be the same because of the anarchists," yelled Gus. The room was quiet for 2 minutes, until Toby talked to Gus. "The anarchists killed your parents because of my actions. I should have never gone into your home. They wanted to kill me. They tried to. And you have to struggle due to me," said Toby with tears in his eyes. Gus Blue now wanted to kill Toby now more than ever. He knew that he had to be patient. He knew that if he waited, Toby would get the proper treatment of incineration. The same way that his parents died. A phone then rang in Gus's pocket. Gus was curious to see who it was. Gus also wanted to get away from the presence of Toby Winters. "Excuse me for a second, it's my Brother, lied Gus, walking outside the apartment. Gus then picked up the phone. It was Mr. Dominus. I suspect you are with Toby? Asked Mr. Dominus. Yes. I can't believe it, but I hate that filth of a man even more, replied Gus. He will get the treatment he deserves. Eventually, said Dominus. Incineration? Asked Gus. No, torture. He must feel the wrath of the Novus Ordo Seclorum, replied Dominus. Then, Gus heard a different voice on the phone. It was a thick German accent. It was Mr. Schneider. Have you seen Bloodshot anywhere? Asked Schneider. Gus knew exactly who he was talking about. Yes. As a matter of fact, he is at Toby's apartment, responded Gus. Excellent. The address? Asked Mr. Schneider. 2447. Newman Avenue. Apartment 49. Why do you want to know? Asked Gus. He killed Mr. Walter. He deserves justice. Anyways, I used to despise you. I wished I could have put you into a gas chamber. But because of this, I am reconsidering. You are now more like a superior Aryan and not one of those inferior races in their filth, said Schneider, hanging up the phone. Gus then walked back inside, not sure about what was going to happen to Bloodshot. So what are we going to do about all of this plan? Asked Gus. I'm gonna talk to Barrington and the Patriots Council. We need significantly more planning. We underestimated the power of the Novus Ordo Seclorum, said Toby. And I'm going to talk to the anarchists. Every last faction from Fero to Los Angeles. Maybe even get some of the factions in Mexico. The more the merrier. I am also going to attempt to get some of my dad's old guns, said Bloodshot. One more thing. Who wants some lunch? Asked Toby. Gus raised his hand. Bloodshot did not. Toby made 2 grilled cheese sandwiches. Gus quickly consumed the sandwich. 10 minutes later, the 3 guys were relaxing in Toby's apartment. They enjoyed themselves until there was a knock on the door. Toby got up and opened the door. The man that was there had a gray beard and looked like he was in his 60s. Hello there. I am a friend of Nicholas Fisher. I was told that he was here. May I come in? Asked the man in a Scottish accent. Toby looked at Bloodshot. Do you know this man? Asked Toby. Bloodshot shook his head. Bloodshot didn't know who he was. The man then kicked down the door and took out a Glock. Toby ran away from him. Bloodshot saw the man and pulled out a Desert Eagle. Fife got the first shot. He tried to shoot Bloodshot in the head, but he dived into the countertop. The bullet hit the refrigerator instead. Bloodshot took the second shot. He shot on the beat, expecting to kill him. But Fife was ready. Fife pulled out a shield, which deflected the bullet. Gus and Toby watched as the fight went down. Toby was concerned about Gus getting killed in the gunfight, so he shoved Gus onto the ground. What the fuck was that for? Asked an annoyed Gus. I don't want you to die, replied Toby. Gus and Toby were hiding behind the couch, witnessing Bloodshot and Fife in a standstill. Neither of them seemed to be winning or losing. We have to get out of here, Gus, said Toby. What about Bloodshot? He could get himself killed, replied Gus. I'll get him. Just go, said Toby. Gus got out of cover and crawled to the door. At that very moment, Bloodshot dived into Fife, causing him to collapse on the floor. Bloodshot ran up to Toby. The problem was that Gus was now close to Fife. Fife got up and yanked Gus off of the ground. He pointed his Glock directly at Gus's face. Toby and Bloodshot were behind the same island. Now, Bloodshot was safe, but Gus wasn't. "Give me Bloodshot or Jesus here gets it," said Fife. "I know that you aren't going to kill him. You know how I know. You said Jesus, which I believe is referring to when Gus called him Jesus. If you killed Gus, the Novus Ordo Seclorum would hunt you down and beat you like a dog. Then they would load magazines of ammo into your head," said Toby. "How about I kill you, smartass?" replied Fife, now pointing the gun at Toby. "You can't kill me. The Novus Ordo Seclorum wants me. You would deal with the same fate," said Toby. "I said it again, give me Nicholas, or you both will get a bullet in the head," said Fife. Bloodshot then yanked Toby back down. "On the count of 3. We are going to break that window and climb down, okay?" whispered Bloodshot. "What about Gus?" asked Toby. "We'll get him later, okay? The point is that we need to escape this guy or else we could all die." "1," replied Bloodshot. Fife began to walk towards the counter, holding Gus. 2. Fife was nearing the counter. Bloodshot and Toby had to go. 3. Suddenly, Bloodshot and Toby threw all of their weight at the nearest window. Toby fell out of the window. Bloodshot held onto him with all of his strength. Toby was able to grab onto one of the bricks. Bloodshot began climbing down the side of the apartment. Luckily for them, there was a swimming pool right below them. Bloodshot, "This is going to sound insane, but we should jump off the wall and into the pool. I've been there enough times. The maximum depth of the pool is 12 feet. The jump shouldn't be fatal," said Toby. "Are you sure?" asked Bloodshot. Toby and Bloodshot saw Fife at the window. He pulled out his Glock and aimed it at Bloodshot. In fear of dying, they both let go and fell into the swimming pool. Toby climbed out of the pool first, then Bloodshot got out second. They knew that they didn't have much time until the bounty hunter would come down to Toby and Bloodshot. They climbed the fence and ran away. But there they saw him again. It was Fife who was still holding Gus hostage. Toby and Bloodshot began trying to open doors in the hopes that one of them would be unlocked. Sadly, none of them were open. Toby decided to take action by breaking the window of a black 1972 Dodge Charger. Toby unlocked and opened the door. Bloodshot began sprinting towards the car. Toby began hot wiring the car. As soon as Bloodshot opened the door, the car started. Toby put his foot on the pedal and the car started rapidly accelerating. Fife started shooting at the car in hopes of killing both Bloodshot and Toby. Toby then drifted out of there, speeding away. They somehow didn't hit any other cars on the road. Now, Gus was being held hostage by the bounty hunter of Fife McDonald. Fife picked up his phone and called Mr. Dominus. "I got Gus. Nobody else," said Fife. "Good. We can use him to lure Toby and Bloodshot in," replied Mr. Dominus, hanging up the phone. Fife forced Gus into his car. It was a 2023 Audi R8. It looked new and clean, in contrast to Fife, who looked beaten and old. Fife shoved Gus into the backseat and remained quiet. Gus was unsure about what was going to happen to him. Fife then stopped the car at an abandoned tunnel. He opened the car door and dragged Gus into the tunnel. After a grueling amount of time being dragged, the tunnel ended and formed a vast and open room. Gus was pulled up and began walking into a room. In the room stood 4 people, each with a mask. One with a shark mask, one with a peacock mask, one with a pig mask, and one with a whale mask. Am I in trouble? Asked Gus. Absolutely not. If it appears that you have been kidnapped by us, then we could lure both Toby and Nicholas, said the man in the whale mask. Fife then dragged Gus some more until he was put into a dungeon. In this dungeon was Cynthia and her uncle Abe. After an hour driving in the Dodge, Toby and Bloodshot were in the heart of Fero. We need to rescue Gus, said Toby. What we need is support, Toby. I am going to try to talk to the anarchist factions. We can't just waltz in there. They will be ready for us, said Bloodshot. Let's do it now, replied Toby. I want you to help me out, Toby. I'll convince the anarchists first, but what I want from you is to help me with investigating my dad. He had this safe. Before he died, he gave me the combination to the lock. I think it was the 4th of February 10. The same day that my mother died. What exactly do you want me to do? Asked Toby. I want you to help me gather the ammunition. And there might be a good chance of more information on the Novus Ordo Seclorum. It's all old stuff, but it could be of use to both of us, said Bloodshot. And the anarchists? Asked Toby. I'll talk to them, and I want you to meet me at my dad's place on Friday. You could talk to Barrington or do whatever. But just in case, bring some of that element, said Bloodshot. We call it Winternium. By the way, what is the address? Asked Toby. It is 27 Halgort Street. I'll write it down for you, replied Bloodshot, giving him a note. Bloodshot then walked away from Toby. It was now just Toby Winters and the Dodge Charger in the deadly streets of Fero. Toby had work to do, and he had until Friday to do it.